quieter or less hot.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. And we're live. Oh my God. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to, well, the Daily Whatever Show, but this is the not straightforward edition of the Daily Whatever Show. I'm Lawrence Winnerman, and I have a new co-host for Mondays.
Hi,
What is up,
everyone.
Aidan?
Hi. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. You know, Aidan, I think we should have a stick, a little
Okay.
shtick as we
Great.
open things. So I think every Monday I'm gonna say, "Hey, Aidan, did you launch any wars of destruction over the weekend?"
Shockingly, I didn't.
Oh, yeah. Me neither.
One
but,
is enough in
but
the
we know
world, I
somebody
think.
who did.
Oh, yeah.
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 Maybe we, knock on wood, that's not an every Monday thing. Let's hope.
I hope not. Yeah, no, it's been a wild weekend.
It's been a crazy weekend.
To say the least.
How was your weekend for reals? Tell the kids what's up.
My weekend was pretty good. I sort of had like the perfect mix of friend time, and then like when there's like we had a event planned yesterday. We're all gonna go to this like little afternoon dance here in the city, and like slowly one by one, every person canceled.
Yeah.
And it just like trickled down, and so I was like, oh my gosh, now I have a free day, and I got like ahead of a ton of work, and it just was a nice way to sort of get grounded before the week. How was your weekend?
Was it a Sunday tea dance kind of thing?
It was tiki disco.
Oh, tiki. Well, in the olden days, we just called that a tea dance. If it was Sunday afternoon and there was booze and dancing involved, oh my God.
I miss summer.
Amazing. Although I do, as like an introvert, I kind of love it when there are moments where everyone sort of cancels and you're like, surprise stay-at-home day.
Which, like, again, I hate being like the person to let people down, but as like the first like 5 people did, I was like, great, this day's changed.
Right. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
I no longer have social obligations. That's amazing.
Yeah.
My weekend was great. Thank you. I mean, other than, doom watching the news, I got to spend, some decent time with my family. Managed to get some stuff done around my house. Like it was super chill.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But,
excellent.
Hey, you are the new co-host of Not Straightforward.
I'm so happy to be that and here.
Yes, I'm thrilled to have you here. And just to kind of let the audience know, originally when Dana and I were doing this, we kind of figured it was like a day to do our own thing.
Right.
And Aidan, you were my very first guest on the first Monday, just 3 weeks ago. And
things happen fast.
Or 4 weeks ago, I guess. And we had such a good chat. I had you back to talk about your open relationships articles. And by the end of that, I was like, I like talking to this dude for Mondays. Like, it's kind of nice to have a vibe with somebody where you don't have to carry the conversation on your own, and you've got, someone legit smart to bounce ideas off of. So,
mostly smart, sometimes very dumb.
Well, hey, same.
Yeah.
Where do you think all these grays came from?
Wisdom and mistakes. Well, mistakes then wisdom. That's how we learn.
Many mistakes. The proportion there, probably far more mistakes than wisdom.
I also love that I know like Wicked is over, but we are giving strong Wicked.
We're totally serving Wicked. We did not coordinate this chat. I will have you know. Although the moment he came on screen, I was like, somebody's serving Greene.
You felt right.
Like, oh, do my eyes occasionally pop green when I'm wearing green? Well, I'm thrilled you're here, and we're excited because today we are talking to somebody so cool. I'm so excited to talk to this guy. Ben Greene has the newsletter, Good Queer News, and posts about trans issues and queer issues and tries in this crazy world to keep it focused on the positive, which is so important. So without further ado, let us bring Ben on screen. Hello, Ben.
Hello. Oh, thanks for having me. I'm so excited. And I didn't notice the Wicked thing before, but now I can't
unsee it. Yeah. As soon as Aidan said it, I was like, oh shit.
I know.
That's all I'm gonna see for the rest of the thing. Yeah. Ben, how about you? Did you start any wars of destruction over the weekend?
No, none at all.
Yeah. Weird. I know 2 guys who did. But damn. Well, hey, we're
Yeah.
not focusing on the negative. I do want to say, just kind of as a moment at the beginning, like prayers go out. I am adamantly opposed to this war, but prayers go out to all the service members who were in harm's way. I was heartbroken yesterday when we found out that 3 service members had died, and heartbroken again this morning to find out that a 4th service member has died.
Mm.
My family has a pretty strong military tradition, and so I always want to honor those people who, stepped up to serve our country, and just kind of say, I'm so fucking sorry you're at the whims of a madman, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's really scary and weird. This is a super strange time.
Yeah.
Do either of you have anything that you want to say about this before we move into greener fields?
I read something that brought me some small comfort, that there was some issues with deployment to Iran with the military warships because they discovered that a lot of soldiers were putting T-shirts into the toilets, and when none of the toilets worked, they couldn't sail. And so there were some renegade group of soldiers trying to stop the boats from going to Iran by putting T-shirts in the toilets. And
Oh my
I
God.
read that, and it's not going to make major national news because Barry Weiss won't let that happen. But I loved to read that. I thought that was great.
That is amazing. Yeah, thank you for sharing that, because I had not heard that, and that
Me neither.
kind of gives me so much hope, right? That, like,
Yeah.
the folks who are actually on the front lines, they get it, they see what's happening, they understand.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was a news conference this morning with Pete Hegseth, who, this is so vulgar and whatever, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I would totally hate fuck Pete Hegseth.
Okay, great.
I mean, like, I think he just needs one really good lay, and he's
And then we wouldn't be at war.
right, and then we wouldn't
He
be
just
like,
needs to go to a dungeon to get these instincts out of him. Like, people have violent urges. There are drag queens who can fix that for you.
oh, for sure. Like, I know people, Pete. Come on, I know some very reputable people. They've got a cat of nine tails and the full on leather outfit, and they will help you.
This is like when the war in Russia started and that woman made that poem that was like, Vladimir Putin, if I was your mother. Did you see that?
I totally
Yes,
missed that
but it
one.
was a long time. Yeah, remind
It was a
me.
long time ago. It's horrible. It's like, if I was your mother, I would give you a hug and ask you to stop this war. Like, it was really cringe. I think we're doing like Pete Hegseth. If I was your top, I would fix it.
For sure.
Somebody
that's so good.
about that.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. That's the motivation. It's like, Pete, come on, man. Clearly you're gagging for it, bro. Like,
Yeah.
you just need one really good shtup, and you need to have the big O. You need to have an anal orgasm, and then you will, see the light, and everything will be better.
I'm like, this is also like not to like conflate like dom sex and like drag, but also just put him in drag and see what happens. Like, I'm thinking in this moment about how like queer people like really do get a such a wide experience of a wide experience of experiences.
That's good Englishing there, Aidan.
Thank you. It's Monday morning. You asked how I was, and I said, eh.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just like we do really get experiences that push our boundaries of what life could look like in a way that not a lot of people do, and people should do that more, because the more experiences you have, the more empathetic and compassionate you become.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I 100% co-sign, and I mean, I've said on this show, on other shows, like, the moment that I really let go and let myself have an ass orgasm for the first time, and then kind of discovered that I could have multiples of them, one right after the other, I was like, hello, sacred feminine. Yes, you are in me. I am good. Like, I don't care about labels, just like do that again.
Yeah.
And so, my contention is Pete needs to experience that. Everything would be different. And I fully co-sign a moment in drag, right? Like,
Yeah.
let's get him a really fierce wig, like a nice, 70 inches of real human hair that he can swish around, and
the heels.
The heels, right?
The heels are what do it for me when I put on a heel, and I'm like, I have unlocked something here. Okay.
Yeah, I will say
to
my
know.
big clunky body does not do so good in heels. This is not attractive as a drag queen, I will just say. But I could do like a drag clown kind of thing, like the beard drag sort of thing.
Us Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence moment.
Total Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. I would do that in a heartbeat. Yeah. Ben, welcome to Not Straightforward. This is what you get.
Thank you. I've got a very clear picture now of what I've signed up for. 7 West Coast. I'm ready to jump right in.
Hey, am I correct in thinking that you live in St. Louis, Missouri?
I did. I actually just moved because of my wife's job, but I lived there for 5 years and it was awesome. I loved it.
St. Louis is a really cool, like, on the DL town. I mean, on the DL, not that like everyone there is on the DL. Just like most people are like St. Louis, like where even?
Everybody's sleeping on St. Louis. The gayest city I've ever been to. Best coffee shops. The coffee shop radius of that city is unbelievable. The independent bookstore, all queer as hell, and like secretly having Plan B, like just awesome. Everything. I love St. Louis.
And the food, bro. Like that is a city that knows how to eat.
Not like pizza, but everything else.
No. Right, seriously.
The ooey gooey butter cake.
Toasted ravioli and yeah. And if you
we were there for I was there for Christmas for a month on tour with Wicked. Yeah. And the dressers there would always bring in like the most incredible food. Yeah. And it was the butter cake. It was just like everything. And I was like, well, this is the best place I've ever been.
Yeah.
It's so great.
St. Louis is just, it has this energy. Right before I moved, I was on a panel and I heard somebody start the statistic that St. Louis has more nonprofits per capita than any other city in the US, which I think really perfectly captures the vibe of that city, that everybody you talk to wants to help, wants to be doing thing, whether it was in the devastating tornado that came through in May, or about gun violence or opioid epidemic, or like just anything. People are like, okay, what can I be doing? How can I show up more? And it's so amazing. I've not seen that in any other city that I've been to in quite such a density, that everyone you talk to has their thing that they're passionate about, that they're doing to make better. And I miss that. I loved that.
My dad's family is from there, and so I spent a lot of my youth like going to St. Louis in the summer to visit my grandmother and cousins and whatnot. It's a surprisingly cool city, and with a really interesting history. So yeah, I was excited to see that that you were kind of from there, had lived there for a while. But Ben, just in case there are folks who are listening who don't know you and don't know your work, do you want to kind of introduce yourself to the chat and let people know what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, chat. I am Ben Greene. I use he, him pronouns. I'm a trans man, public speaker, advocate, author. I wear a lot of different hats. Basically, I go where I can to try to build a world that's safer for trans kids than it was for me when I came out 11 years ago. I do speaking at big companies. I speak all over the world. I'm going in a couple of weeks to be a visiting scholar on trans activism in Lithuania. I wrote a book for parents of trans kids. I write good queer news to talk about hope. And I bring in joy everywhere because people hear that I'm a trans man. They hear that I do advocacy, that I was a trans kid, that I lived in Missouri. They expect me to be very dour, very tired, very angry. And I bring the joy to show what can be possible for trans people. I choose joy every single day. And that's something I'm really proud to do, and something I'm excited to talk about how other people can do that too. I love talking about trans joy.
That's amazing, and something that is desperately needed at this moment in time. I love the whole that the idea that you choose joy every day. Like, what you were like, I could have been a goth kid. Yeah. I could be so emo right now, you guys, but I'm not.
Yeah, people expect me to be one way, but I describe myself best as what would happen if you let a Muppet read too much bell hooks. And I think that's pretty accurate.
That's an excellent analogy.
Yes.
And it's something you do so well. Like, I don't know, we've been friends for a couple months now, a fair amount of months in the Substack universe. And just, I was always so drawn to how you write, but also how you talk. Like, we did a interview a couple months ago and I was like, wow, every single thing that he says is incredible and so inspiring. I go back to that interview and I'm like, that is a quote I need to remember today. That's a quote I need to remember today.
Wow. Yeah. Love. That's awesome.
Nice. So Ben, what are you working on right now? What's the current object of your focus?
Yeah. So I follow this philosophy that you pick 10 goals in like a moment, and then 3 of them are your priorities, and the other 7 are your biggest distractions, and you cannot work on them. So I only ever have 3 big projects at one time. So my big projects I'm working on right now, I just finished my book, My Child is Trans, Now What, is coming out in paperback. So all the different edits, the new forward, that was due to my publisher today. So that's now done. I'm working on a fiction book called The Trophy Husbands that is essentially about male friendships. It's about a group of men who form a support group when their wives start medical school. My wife is a doctor, and write what you know. So it's all about masculinity and, you know, the judgments we make about each other. And then I'm also working a lot on advocacy. In St. Louis and in Missouri, there is a ballot initiative coming up in November that will be the first attempt to constitutionally ban gender affirming care. And I am the advocacy chair of my PFLAG chapter. And so it's very important to me to make it a top priority to help equip my chapter members to channel their really passionate mama bear energy into advocacy, because it will take all of us to beat back that ballot initiative. And if we can beat it in Missouri, they won't try it in other places. So I'm putting a lot of love into making that happen as well.
Nice. Amazing. I know that Missouri is an interesting state because, when I was coming up, when I was visiting there as a kid and kind of through my teens and 20s, it was a very purple state, right? Yeah. Like, it was winnable by Democrats, and it used to be the bellwether state. It always voted for the winner of the presidential election. And then there was this very concerted pull to the right. And, now you've got, Josh Hawley and, kind of the evil dudes, right, of Republican politics in Missouri. What is it like trying to activate and mobilize in Missouri overall? Like, I know Missouri's not just St. Louis and Kansas City. It's very rural. It's very there's farmland, there's ranches, there's giant parks. Like, what is it like?
Yeah. So, my points of comparison are, I grew up in Connecticut in a very, very small town. I went to school in Boston, and now I live in Southern California, where my wife's job has taken us. And it is, compared to blue states, it is so easy to get people to show up because we have a real acute understanding in Missouri that the rights we have are the ones that we fight for tooth and nail, the ones that we fight to defend. And so when people say it's time to show up and here's what that looks like, people show up. I remember my first trip to the Capitol, I was expecting to get in a fight. I was expecting to have all these haters here showing up and being really hostile and really aggressive. And we showed up, and the hearing was announced with 3 days of notice. The Capitol's 3 hours away from most of the big cities. And we showed up there, and it was hundreds of people, all in their rainbows, priests and pastors and grandparents and social workers and doctors and kids. And it was unbelievable that almost no one showed up in support of the anti-trans legislation. Everybody who was there was showing up to protect trans kids. And I think that was really beautiful, and is a kind of misunderstanding people have about the Midwest. Trying to get people engaged in Boston and in California is like pulling teeth. There's so much my joy is resistance. That means I don't need to do something hard. I'm just going to go to brunch, and this isn't really my problem because I live in Los Angeles. And I can call myself a community organizer because I like to cut off my friends because they use the wrong language. I get a little bit jaded about coming back to blue state politics after red state organizing is so much like, okay, we need to work together. Even if we don't agree on anything, I need you, you need me. I need to work with the religious community. I need to work with old people with imperfect language, but who have a voice to share. It's amazing. And not just in the cities either. You know, a lot of the small towns, Springfield, Missouri puts both Kansas City and St. Louis to shame. They are like unbelievable in their capacity down in Springfield, and Columbia and Jefferson County just started a new PFLAG chapter, and like so much organizing work. And I remember I didn't know quite how much it had changed me until the 2024 election happened. And everyone I knew in a blue state was like Googling how to move to another country, was freaking out, was having panic attacks and posting, you know, this is how the trans genocide starts, and getting so overwhelmed with doom, so panicked. And everyone I knew in the red states were like, all right, my sleeves are already rolled, already stinks in here, but I know that I know how to survive under a government that hates me really bad. I know what it looks like to reduce harm, to protect my community. We'll just get back to work. And so I've loved the person that Missouri organizing made me. And you will never catch me turning my back on red states, because if we need to beat all this stuff there, otherwise it will come to us on a national level. It'll come to us through ballot initiatives in blue states. I love red states.
Yeah. So sorry, Aidan, go ahead. I can tell you're about to ask something.
Oh, I think like I like love that so much. And I think my thoughts about advocacy changed a lot when I traveled the country more. And I think, right, so much of it has to do with proximity, and now living in New York, where there's a lot of brunch and there's a lot of tone policing and there's not a lot of actual advocacy work. And I think also in New York, and I would say maybe in other blue states, they're like, it just feels further away. Like there isn't quite a neighborhood feel. I mean, like I live across the street from a gay bar. And I'm like, even that, I'm like, it's like, we'll go sometimes. And I'm like, no, we need to go like patronize these queer establishments. Like what is like the number one thing that you would tell people living in like blue cities about like, just like not like the easiest way, but like the most impactful way to like start paying attention again?
Yeah. You know, I think it's a mix about not just like looking so close and for so long that we feel like things are on fire. But for example, like this is actually a really good moment in time for an example for this. Trans people in Kansas are getting it bad right now.
Right.
It's scary in Kansas for trans people. There's a new law just went into effect saying that any person who's had their gender marker changed, their driver's license is not valid immediately. What does allyship look like? Lyft, the rideshare company, is doing 50% off rides for trans people on the app. Somebody who works at Lyft had to bring up that idea. Somebody had to fight to make that happen. I love that they're doing it. And people had to decide to do that. So one question is, what does your job look like? Do you have a job that might reach people in Kansas? How can you use that to help? Maybe it's, okay, what are ways we can help financially because we have a little more security? How can I donate to Transformations KC, which is helping with mutual aid efforts, or ACLU, which is helping with harm reduction, right? The two prongs are also, how are we helping the people survive right now? And how are we fixing this? And we want to put a little bit of energy towards both. Different people are predisposed to really love mutual aid, which is awesome. Some people really love litigation and strategy, which is awesome. And, sending love to people in Kansas, making sure they know you're not forgetting them. So never saying stuff like, why don't they just secede? I wish we could be another country. Like, make sure they know that you see them and that you care, sending that money, sending that support. And then if there are nonprofits on the ground and you have some discretionary time, ask yourself, what am I good at? Right? Maybe I'm a really good artist. I have no money to spare. New York City is expensive. I get that. I'm going to design a t-shirt. I'm going to sell it as a fundraiser to raise money for ACLU of Kansas. Or I write music. I'm going to sell my album at a discount. If I go and, for example, I like to bring books with me when I do events. Sometimes I just sell the books, and sometimes I tell people, if you make a donation, I'll just give you one. I'm giving these things that I have for free if you're willing to do something good for this organization. So there are lots of ways you can help. But figuring out, what am I good at? What do I have capacity to do? And how can I use that to help people in Kansas or people in Missouri, or, pick a red state. Maybe you don't try to follow all of them, right? There's 26 states that are like misbehaving really hardcore. Why don't you pick one and adopt that state and start to care a lot about their politics? Because I'm not an expert on trans rights in Iowa. I mean, I may be a bad example because my job is on trans rights, and I know a lot about Iowa. But, I don't know the depth of every single state, but Missouri I know everything about. And then I'm helping people in my life stay informed. I know when there's something I can tell everybody, hey, all my friends and family, we're going to make calls today. We're going to be doing this phone banking for this candidate in a swing district that'll make a huge difference. Adopt a red state and decide to care a lot about that. I came around to the answer. I knew I'd get there eventually. No straight path.
Well, yeah. I think we also feel this pressure with the internet to like be experts at everything.
Right.
Yes.
And I think that just the reminder, like you can pick one thing and that is enough, is so important.
Yes. My mantra always is, you got to give yourself permission to know less, to do more. That doesn't mean stick your head in the sand. It means that if you are really informed about a thing that you act on, that helps. If you are just staying informed and raising awareness on social media, all you're doing is making yourself feel terrible. You can inform yourself into the couch, so that you can sit there and feel like the world is on fire and what's the point? I am not informed about every issue, but I am about the ones that I act on. And that makes a bigger difference than me just posting stories ever will.
Yeah.
I told you, everyone, you've got such good advice.
Yeah. And Ben, if I can just kind of like layer onto that, here's one that I say a lot that I think people cringe when I say it, because we should all go to our local Democratic Party meeting, right?
Yes.
You may hate the National Democrats, right? You may be angry at Schumer and Jeffries, and it's because there isn't enough grassroots state level action in the parties, the state parties, to get the national party to respond to what we're really feeling. And I know it can feel like the Democratic Party is a lost cause, and maybe you're truly not a Democrat, right? Like maybe you're in a big city and you have the option of finding other Democratic social, like you could go to the Democratic Socialist Party meeting, right? Or if you're in Minnesota, the DFL meeting, which is Democratic Farmer Laborer Party. But the point is, so I'm in Indiana. A couple years ago moved from Seattle, big blue city, to Fort Wayne, Indiana, to be near my family. And, so I'm adopting Indiana, literally, and I went to the Democratic Party meeting, the Allen County Democratic Party meeting 2 weekends ago, and it was energizing. It was vibrant. There were a lot more of us than I thought there would be. And they were really well organized, and they were talking very strategically about 2026. And get in there and do that, Yeah. And if you think they're making the wrong choices, the great thing about being a Democrat is you can yell at the meeting. you can raise your hand and stand up and get to the microphone and tell people that you think we're doing the wrong things or focused on the wrong things. So I would just really encourage people, like, the way that we're going to change our political parties is to literally change the political party by showing up.
Yeah.
Yes, there are so many people, especially in Gen Z, who I have to like really fight to get to vote, and who have, I go through the same fight with people every year. Do we want to pull votes away from a national Democrat if you're in a swing state, whatever? And people are like, well, I just, if the options are garbage flavored ice cream and poop flavored ice cream, what if I want vanilla? And like, okay, you don't like the options. Now is when we're choosing. Go be in the room. You are invited to the room. Right. And when you decide not to show up in the room, you kind of are sacrificing your ability to critique what goes on in there, because we want you in that room. And I think you're spot on. The change won't start nationally. It will start locally. Last year was a proving ground for more progressive Democratic candidates. It worked. And the National Democratic Party is deciding if they are ready to go that way, if they're ready to lean into workers' rights, into trans rights, into right to bodily autonomy. And the local parties are the ones who are going to feed that energy up. It's not going to come from the top down. It's going to come from the bottom up. Get in there.
Yeah. And you never know, like, who's going to be there? It was at the LGBTQ center in New York after the election, like a month after. And I was like, oh my gosh, who is this? Like, who is my city councilman? He's like so charming and lovely. And his name's Mamdani. And I've never heard of him before. And I'm there.
Right.
But I was like, again, it was so inspiring to
Maybe
just
he'll do
not
something
feel
big
alone.
one day.
Maybe. But again, I had never heard of him. And he was my local city council person.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I went to an event and I was like, oh, here is somebody who is actively fighting for me. And like, again, all of my friends bailed on me to go to this thing. So I went alone and I felt so much more community than I would have otherwise.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh yeah, things are happening off the internet.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's so true. The meeting I went to 2 weeks ago, the speaker was this woman, Kelly Thompson, who's running to be the House representative, the congressional rep from the 3rd district, which is the congressional district I happen to live in now. I'd never heard of her before, and she is a spitfire. She's like this petite, 60-year-old grandma who is super hip. And when she was giving her answers to things, it was so grounded in reality. Like someone asked her about, queer and trans issues, and she was like, I'm a grandmother to 13 grandchildren. My grandchildren are everything. They are white, they are black, they are Latino, they are trans, they are gay, they are lesbian. She's like, I love all of them. I'm fighting for every single one of them. And I was just like, oh my God. Like we have some amazing people like that who are running in this year. And the way that we can support them best at the local level is to show up and help them get out the vote,
Yeah.
Kelly's going to need people to go knock on doors or to make phone calls. And I hate both of those things. I hate going and knocking on strangers' doors. I hate who likes phone calls anymore anyway, right? Like, but I will do them because if it helps get her elected, fuck yeah, I want the grandma who has a trans grandkid and queer grandkids and who like gets that America looks more like her grandchildren than it looks like her grandparents,
Ooh.
Yeah. Love that.
Yeah. So, again, I say like I see people cringe every time I say it because, the Democrats have kind of a terrible brand right now, and deservedly so. They're fucking weak and incompetent and manage to snatch defeat out of the jaws of victory like every time big stakes are, on the ground. But I'm also old enough to remember when a guy named Howard Dean ran for president. And did he lose? Yes, he did. But he activated people in all 50 states such that after he lost the nomination, he got himself elected the chair of the Democratic National Committee for 4 years in 2004, and he organized the 50-state strategy that got Barack Obama elected in 2008. Like,
wow.
we can make change at the party.
Yeah.
It's a fucking tragedy that everything that Obama and Dean did together in that time period to get Obama elected has fallen apart because, same old party insider, everyone thought like, yay, we did it. We elected a black president. We're done. And they stopped going to meetings and the old machine network picked back up, but if we show up, then we make a change.
Yeah.
I'll just plug because I think he's always doing incredible work. But my friend Brian Derrick, who started a company called Oath, which I'm going to put in the chat for people who maybe do live in blue states and want to help. He is sort of like re-envisioning how political giving works. And he finds the smallest races where your money can do the most impact because he's like, in 2024, Harris didn't need your $15, your $50, but these like really small local, oh my God, popped up on the screen. These small local races really do, whether that's school boards, whether that's city council, and you can pick which things you're feeling passionate about, send it out, and then your information does not get given to the roll calling things. So you don't get put on all those robocall lists.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, he's doing great work.
Awesome. Thank you for that tip. So Ben, we kind of touched tangentially on Kansas and what's going on there. Like, 1,000 people lost their driver's licenses, right? Like, and I love the way that you kind of laid this out in one of your recent articles. You were like, bad news, the legislature passed this. Good news, the governor vetoed it. Bad news, the legislature overrode the veto. Like
Mhm.
everything is this sort of flux between good news and bad news. So current bad news, the law is active. 1,000 people have lost their driver's licenses in Kansas. What is the good news out of this? Like, what's giving you hope about that topic in this moment?
Yeah. So what's giving me hope in part is that there are a lot of people who've been turning a blind eye to the plight of the trans community, or who've been insisting it's just about sports, it's just about kids, it's just about women. And they're finally waking up and being able to realize, hey, it's actually quite bad. And this is giving us something to get more and more like, this is unpopular. This is going too far in ways that many people who were not pro-trans are agreeing it's going too far. So that's obviously a like morose thing. Like, it brings me hope that this is too bad. But it is shifting the conversation, which I think is important. I'm proud that this has broken red state containment, where sometimes something really bad will happen in a red state and people will be like, wow, like F red states, haha, like I hate Ron DeSantis. Anyways, back to brunch.
Right.
I shit on brunch a lot. I like brunch.
It's okay. It's worth it.
Right. I mean, I love brunch, but it's honestly a perfect kind of encapsulate. Like, speaking as a queer dude who lived in Seattle for 30 years, like, absolutely, like, I'm literally flashing to the number of times I was at brunch with my friends on a Sunday, lamenting the shit that was happening in the rest of America and being like, but at least we're in Seattle.
So I think it's broken red state containment, where like people are actually saying, okay, here's what you can do to help Kansas. I know a lot more people are talking about this than usually talk about when something bad happens to trans people in the state. And they're talking about it in a way that cares about the trans people and isn't just roasting the red state. And the ACLU, are on top of it. They dropped that lawsuit immediately. And hopefully, we're able to move quickly. I'm not in those meetings to be knowing how fast they're moving or how efficiently things are going, but they tend to be incredibly strategic. Litigation is an amazing tool for reducing harm to the trans community. So I know in this moment, trans people are scared. I wouldn't necessarily call where we are right now, hopeful or good, but I would say that I maintain hope because I've seen the mutual aid that is happening in Kansas, because I've seen the legal strategy that's happening in Kansas. And for the record, having a governor willing to veto those bills is amazing. I wrote about this in the article that I published yesterday or the day before. Time confetti, who knows when it was.
Right.
But, living in Missouri, if we had somebody willing to veto, like even if the bill eventually passed, I don't know. I think that makes a difference. And she's been governor for a while. She's, I think, up for re-election this year, which a lot of people are really nervous about. And she could have said, I don't want this to be the hill I die on. I'm just going to let it go. It's going to pass anyways. I might as well not throw away my political capital on defending trans kids. And she has vetoed as best she can. She tries to be persuasive. She is clear. And it's amazing to see and to have an example of a governor having courage and not throwing trans kids under the bus. Looking at you, Newsom.
Yeah.
And like, I love seeing what's possible. And I'm sure that there are, if Kansas is anything like Missouri, which I think that it probably is, they're having a lot of great conversations underground right now about what it means to keep each other safe. And we can't know about those conversations. In order for those conversations to work, I can't know what they are. I certainly can't talk about what they are on a live stream, but I am so hopeful that the community organizers that are there, that know what it is to survive under a hostile government, that they've got ideas of how to keep each other safe while they wait for litigation to come into play here. Yeah. So it's scary, but it doesn't make me hopeless. Complete hopelessness and complete hope of like, don't worry, it'll all work out, both assume you know what the future is. I don't. I can't tell the future. So I choose to be hopeful because it could work out. And I know that we're going to try really hard. I have to hope because I have to try.
Yeah, that is such a good answer and such a good reminder, right? That, it's like you said at the beginning, you choose hope every day. And I think it's kind of self-reinforcing. If you want to try, you have to have hope that your efforts are going to make a difference. And if you've got hope, you want to try, because you can't just sit there and, like you said, assume that things are going to work out, because we literally don't know. We don't know what's going to happen between now and November of this year.
I think sometimes people assume that I'm like a blind optimist, or like every once in a while someone will be like, well, I know you don't talk about bad news, like just in my personal life, someone will assume that they can't tell me bad news. And I'm like, no, good queer news is not about pretending there is no bad news. I know about the bad news. I am neck deep. I probably know more about the bad news than, you do, uncle, whatever. And good queer news is an orientation towards joy, is saying that we will celebrate the victories. We will not let losses counteract our victories, right? Like on the weather app, if any hour in a day is forecasted to rain, any percentage, the icon for the entire day is rain. Right. Some people let that be the framework of the queer rights movement. If anything bad happens, that represents the day. That represents the fight. We lost here, so we are losing, so it is done. And then, of course, you open it up and it's going to rain for 5 minutes at 1 o'clock in the morning, and it'll be beautiful and sunny all day. I'm fighting for the sunny parts. I know those will come. And I'm holding both at the same time. I will bring my umbrella, but I'm not going to stop going outside. I think this metaphor is maybe falling apart. But
no, it's so good.
Actually, it's pretty fucking great. I got to tell you. Because it's you're 100, like literally you open that app and it's like, oh, it's gonna rain today, and then you look at the details and it's like, yeah, no, it rained at like 1 a.m. this morning. It's beautiful for the rest of the day. Like it's so right on. It's such a good analogy.
Yeah. It also makes me think of the last time we talked, where we talked about how like doom and this sort of like throwing your hands up, I give up, the world is too broken, is a cop-out. And how something that I think is really important is that this moment of joy, these moments of joy are actually the ways that we keep reminding ourselves that there are things to keep fighting for.
Right.
Yes. And I really encourage everyone to like take some time, think about what you want, because it's hard to say like, okay, I'm an advocate. That means I'm going to fix it. Fix what? There's a lot. And yes, everything is interconnected. And if I try to fix all the interconnected problems, I won't. I will burn out. So I want people to set a personal dream. So as an example, my dream for the future, my wife and I, our biggest argument is, what is better, Disneyland or Disney World? We fight about this all the time. And it's contentious in this household. And I have never said
Disney World. It's so much bigger.
I know. If you like Disney, go get more Disney. But I've never said, hey, let's go to Florida together so that we can resolve this. That feels like a safe idea.
Right.
My dream is a cross-country road trip. We go to Disneyland in California, and then we drive through the American South and Midwest. And along that drive, I stop. I pull off the highway in a random small town. I use the bathroom safely. I talk to local community members. I visit a bookstore or library and sign a copy of books that I've written. And I go to a random towny bar and I meet some cool queer rural people, or a random straight farmer, and we have an interesting conversation about our lives. And then I get back on the road. I keep driving. I feel safe. And then I get to Disney World. I feel ethically positive or neutral about entering Florida. I feel ethically positive or neutral about entering Disney World. Yeah. And then I win the fight. And so this dream does a couple things for me.
Good.
Right? Number one, it allows me to envision winning, not just fighting. It allows me to envision what it looks like when we build the world that we're fighting for, which helps me feel like I'm not just throwing spaghetti at the wall or digging a hole in water. It also is a personal dream with national implications. In order for that dream to be true, we need an end to sundown towns. We need safety in rural communities. We need safety in red states and an end to gerrymandering. We need an end to major corporate lobbying. My passion is safety in small towns and red states. I don't want queer people to feel like they have to move to a city to have community, to belong, to be seen. And so I have my dream, and then I pick my actions based on the world I am most passionate about building. That means a lot of my speaking is in small towns. I love going to a small town church and their justice committee. I love working with Indivisible and PFLAG chapters. I love sitting down with imperfect allies and doing deep canvassing and storytelling and narrative change work. So I have my vision, I have my big picture, things that will need to happen to make that true. And I have my actions that when I take those, I get excited. I tell myself I am one conversation closer to that road trip, to that world I want to be in. And all the people in my life, especially as I talk to them more about their dreams, they're not dreaming the same thing as me. Maybe they don't like amusement parks. Maybe they do not like a road trip because they would rather, fly on a plane or stay right here in their community. But they have dreams that contribute. I hear their dreams and I say, ooh, I want to live in that world. I want to live in that world. And I know that because my friend is working hard on food sovereignty, I can work hard on trans rights in the South. And together, that takes some of the weight off his shoulders. It takes some of the weight off my shoulders. I have to trust that other people are doing their part about their passions rather than all of us saying, why can't I fix all of it? And then doing nothing. So really take some time, envision a better future with you in it, and then pick your actions about building that future. And you'll find it so much more sustainable. It's so much more exciting when we orient towards hope and joy. I don't know for sure that I'll get there, but I have to try, because if I don't try, I know what's going to happen. I'm going to lose.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to make sure to make a note of this time and take a screen cap of this later. And this is what it looks like when someone realizes they're the third coolest person on camera. So thanks, guys.
Get out of here.
I want to kind of like reorient for a moment, because one of the things that the three of us talked about in email and chat before we did this was kind of this theory that came to my mind, Ben, when I was, reading some of your stuff, which is like, as queer people, we almost have to invent a worldview, right? Like what you're articulating is a really coherent worldview that obviously drives and animates every part of your life. And I love it. And I'm suspecting that wasn't a thing that was delivered to you through long family tradition, right? Like it's something that you built and crafted and created. And Aidan, I don't know what you think, but like in my life, I feel like I've done that. I've had to like create a worldview that includes me. So I was wondering if maybe in the last, 10, 12 minutes here, we could talk about just that process for queer people, right? And debate the thesis. Like, what do you guys think? Yay or nay? Queer people are adept at building their own worldview.
Yeah. Can I do like the slightest tag to the end of the last conversation really quickly?
Oh, hell yeah.
I want to take us back to brunch. Just because, Ben, you are so good at talking to people, from those who like really don't agree with you to those who really do. And I think something that is really important right now is, how does somebody who's listening, who are the more engaged members of this conversation, take the conversation to brunch without, like, I think a big fear of mine, and a fear that sometimes gets in the way and sometimes doesn't, is like, I don't want to be like the downer. I don't want to be the ones who are like, did you hear about all the really intense things that happened this weekend? Like, what is like one piece of advice before we move on to our ending that you would like give to people to help them bring their information to other people in a way that actually helps them listen?
Yes. Okay. So, especially as we're talking about like your queer friends, your advocate friends, your liberal friends, your family members who care, but who you wish were acting more. There is the statistic I heard recently where this is going to come back around to being relevant really fast, I promise. People have studied for a long time people in Eastern Europe who hid Jews during the Holocaust. A lot of people have tried to figure out what unifies those people. Why did they do that? What did they have in common? Because that took tremendous bravery. You were doing that at huge risk to yourself, your family, your entire community. And people, thousands of people, did it anyways. They've tried to study, was it income? Was it family status? Was it, ethnicity, religion, all those things, career, nothing that they all had in common. Finally, they found what those thousands of people had in common. Of a study of like 1,500 people who hid Jewish people, 96% were directly asked to help. That's what they had in common, is that they didn't come to it on their own. Somebody went to them and said, hey, would you do this? If you want your friends to get involved, don't say, have you heard about this? Isn't it awful? And then wait for them to fill in the blanks and say, I should be doing more. When I go to my friends, I say, hey, I'm taking this action. Do you want to come with me? And I make it fun, right? What if guilt and shame were going to work as motivators, they would have already worked by now.
Right. Oh my
Time to try something different. So leaning into joy means, for me, especially in the beginning, using joy to bring people in. And then once people start acting and realize how amazing it feels, I don't really have to worry about getting people to keep acting. I'm predominantly worried about getting them to start. So I really love to say, like, hey, I'm going to do a community cleanup in the Transgender Memorial Garden. Do you want to come with me? I'm driving to the Capitol. I need a carpool buddy. Do you want to be in charge of making the playlist? Do you want to come? I'm going to go do 10 phone calls and then I'm going to make myself cookies, or I'm going to bake cookies and see how many phone calls I can make while they're in the oven. Let me make this fun. Let me make this something that feels good. Let me start my friends with something local so that they can then walk by that building and see the pride flag hanging and realize the impact of their voice at that library board meeting. How can I help my friends find actions that feel good for them? And I'll try to curate the actions when I can. If I have friends that are artists, I might say, I really need someone to design new buttons for my PFLAG chapter because this does great things for the trans kids that stop by our booth. Do you have an hour to draw some pictures for my PFLAG chapter? I just over and over again, because I'm not going to be that guy that's always sending bad news. I will send good news and tie it back to actions. Like, hey, remember that thing we sent letters about? Here's what worked. Here's what happened. I will remind them the good things that happened, and I will give them invitations to actions that I think will make a difference.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. I want to add in that, I think, so Gen X, right? Very specific kind of point of view.
Yeah.
The trans community was not embraced by Gen X, right? Like, I think in big cities like New York and LA and San Francisco, yes, but there was, and I think the younger generations are better, but I'm on the apps, I see the shit. I know that there are plenty of gay dudes out there who are all about toxic masculinity, right? And I do think that even among the queer community, I wish I had clipped this or could remember the person's name, but somebody did a great little clip, I saw it over the weekend, of the difference between gay and queer, right? And that queer is a political identity, because if you are not willing to throw our trans siblings under the bus as a gay or lesbian person, then you're queer, right? But if somebody identifies only as gay and is willing to drop the T and off of, LGBTQIA plus, then it means, that being gay identifying is toxic, and it is not community building. It is throwing our siblings under the bus. And so I would say, for all the other gay dudes out there, if you have any weird, still internalized misogyny or anti-transness or whatever feelings you've got, please recognize that is an issue you need to work on. And our trans siblings are our siblings. They are 100% a part of this bigger queer family, never to be traded or abandoned or left to suffer in Kansas on their own. So I think that's a piece we can do too, right? Like, as gay men, model the idea that trans is okay, trans is cool,
trans is incredible.
Trans is incredible, for fuck's sake. It was trans women of color that got us fucking Stonewall, for God's sake. Yeah. Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera. Like, always remember their names. So I don't know. That's my speech.
Yeah. And something that I've really been working on a lot is like, it's been so easy for me to like put people into categories of like with me and against me at a very binary and inchangeable way. And it's been so important for me to learn how to like, when I hear about somebody who does not support me, I start with empathy. Sometimes that goes all the way to pity, right? Somebody who really virulently hates me, the guy who started Gays Against Groomers. I've met the guy who runs the St. Louis chapter. I pity him.
Wow.
Sad way to live. And for a lot of gay men, what I feel a lot of empathy that there's fear, right? The underlying fear behind the misogyny, the racism, the transphobia is I just want to be able to live. I want to be safe. And is it your fault? Are you the reason I won't be safe? And I want to, if you're a gay man watching this, if you're feeling sensitive or triggered by people saying, you got to get right with the diversity of this community, you might be having some fear come up. And I want you to know, I see you. I am your brother in this fear. I have this fear. All of us are feeling this. Your sisters, your siblings, your brothers. Maybe you're a lot older than me. Maybe I am your child in this fear, but we are here feeling this fear together. I want you to know that I see you. And I want you to know that I will fight for you because you are included in the future I want to build. And learning how to see people in all their humanity, in all their trauma, in all their baggage. I heard this quote a while ago that said, do not deny others the dignity of complexity. For the gay men who are frightened into thinking, I am taking your rights away, I assure you, I am not. Whose fault is it? I know it feels much easier to come at a smaller group than it is to look at the people who are actually targeting your rights. But I promise once they're done with me, they will come for you next. And I know it's scary, but fear is better dealt with together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ben. Yes.
Yeah.
And can vouch, right? Like, again, I had to examine my own upbringing, my own personal, like I drank the toxic masculinity Kool-Aid, right? I had to detox, I through meeting and befriending trans people, I began to realize that my, feelings of I'm not sure that I can relate came from a place of I was, as a little kid, 100% certain that I was different. I knew that I was gay, and I was so terrified of being clocked. And being clocked in that day and age meant being feminine in any way, right? And so I had this fear of femininity, and any man, any gay man, any trans person, anyone who kind of radiated that femininity in the way that, it was observable to society and, therefore punchable, like that scared me, right?
Yeah.
And that was the core for me. That was the seed of why I didn't feel initially, as a younger person, empathy for the trans community. And so I did the hard work and I unpacked that and I talked to my trans friends, and I'm sure, I've got wonderful friends who I'm sure, were like, I'm tired of being the ambassador from Translandia for you, like it's fucking exhausting. And and I get it, because I've absolutely been like, oh yeah, okay, my straight friends and family, like, I'm tired of being the ambassador from Faglandia. Like, please just go, go ask other people the question of who's the wife in my relationship.
Oh.
I don't know, whatever diatribe.
Yeah.
And we're like running up against the bottom of the hour, but I think this is a really important topic. And Ben, Aidan, clearly we gotta have Ben back, right?
Duh.
You call.
Yeah, I still want to explore the whole, like, we are allowed.
I know.
To
sorry.
our own worldview. No, it's all good.
I tailspun it away.
Conversation.
Yeah. I also just add, like, I had a really interesting conversation, which is on tomorrow's podcast, with this woman, Rachel Wright, where she talks about discomfort tolerance and how a lot of what this requires us to do is sit with our discomfort, which we're really bad at. We turn to food, we turn to phones, we turn to drugs, alcohol to deal with our discomfort. But like, discomfort goes away. And the more that we engage with discomfort in this way, the smaller that discomfort gets. So like, to anyone watching who does want to make a little bit of change, like, that discomfort does get easier.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to close us out with a question to the two of you. what music is giving you life right now?
Ooh.
I'll go first.
Okay.
Rosalia. Have you guys heard Rosalia?
No.
Yes. Oh my god, she's so
Holy
good.
fucking shit. Must go
Ben, you're gonna love
listen.
her.
Absolutely, absolutely incredible. It's like opera. It's like I mean, it's not just opera. It is incredible.
Spanish, yeah.
Right.
She's a Spanish singer.
Spanish
She's
and German
incredible.
and Portuguese and English. Like it is. She's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, I just added her to my Spotify.
Nice.
Lux is sort of like the perfect album, and she talks about how she doesn't want it to be like for social media. She wants it to be complex and hard to interact with, and it is fucking incredible.
If you're gonna pick any track off of that album to listen to first, I would recommend Berghain, because it is symphonic and it is operatic and it is rap and it is fucking genre bending, mind blowing. Bjork is featured. Like it's just amazing.
It's so good.
Yeah. All right. What about you guys?
Okay, I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna let Ben take us home. Mine is Nicolina, who is this girl I found recently. The song is called Situations, but then I found out she was an American Idol star, or I don't know how far she went, but her voice is unreal. She does a cover of She Used to Be Mine from Waitress. That is like, I literally just like put my headphones on and listen to it with my eyes closed. It is so symphonic. Yeah, so she's giving me life.
Oh,
nice. Nicolina. Okay.
Nicolina.
Awesome. Ben.
Okay, I have been really into, for the last like 6 months, decided that when I listen to music, I'm not allowed to change it. I do albums only, or pick one playlist, and like that's my playlist for the day, because I'm trying to retrain my attention. So I've been really into like full albums, and lately the new Florence and the Machine album, Everybody Scream, is not getting enough love. It is cinematic. It is drama.
Nice.
It is so like beautifully self-indulgent. She's showing you all her runs, all her like. I love this album. If you've read the book Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab, this album is exactly that. The way that I describe both of them is, have you considered malevolent lesbianism? And
nice.
It's just like, it's a furious album. It is. I love it. It is weird. It's very Florence and the Machine in pure form. I've been listening to this album most days. This is my album of the day lately. I love it.
I'm totally
also
checking
Cave
that out.
Town. Big ups for Cave Town, trans artist. His whole discography is really fun to listen to because he started a band before he started T. And so his older songs, it's like an entirely different voice. And you can hear his journey through his albums, which is so much fun.
That's cool. That's cool.
Adding both of those.
Absolutely. Okay. And hey, allies, in case you're wondering why you want to listen to Not Straightforward, it's because we give you all the fucking tea on the music you should be listening to. This is where you get your new beats.
Tastemakers are here.
Yeah. You heard cinematic and symphonic, and come on. We're showing up. Ben, thank you so much for joining us. This has been absolutely incredible. Aidan absolutely wins as co-host. He recommended Ben for coming on, and yeah, guys. Now I want to do a show where the three of us are just dissecting everything for the rest of the time.
Yeah.
So Ben, we're gonna definitely have you back. Maybe we'll do like a monthly thing with you or something.
I'd love that.
So great. Awesome. Guys, where can everyone find you before we go?
Yeah, I am at Good Queer News on Substack. That is the most reliable place I am. Instagram, like once every 2 months. So Good Queer News, the best spot for it.
Nice.
Bam. Yeah. In contrast, Instagram is the best place for me. At Aidan Wharton. And then on Substack at Gay Buffet, podcast Getting Close. Got options.
That new podcast, fire.
Thank you.
Yeah, your podcast is amazing. And
not to hype it, tomorrow's episode I think is one of the best.
I'm so excited for tomorrow's episode.
Nice,
it's real good.
Yeah, and I love a title with a good double or triple entendre in it. So, you know,
a little fun.
Hello. Excellent. Well, I'm here at the Daily Whatever Show. I also write on blueampmedia.co is our Substack. And I'm redoing my own personal Substack. I suppose I should have made an announcement about this. I'm starting a newsletter piece of my Substack called The Hinge, in which I'm going to connect the dots in social change and technological change and political change. And because I'm a science fiction writer, I'm going to do little triptychs where I present 2 hinge theories in each triptych. And then the third piece in the triptych is a science fiction short story set in a near future where both of those hinge elements are coming to life. So
I cannot wait.
That is at lwinner.substack.com. It looks, I mean, I rebranded, but there's like no content there right now except for my other sci-fi, which please go read that. But big push for me going forward to create new original content that I will be publishing on my own Substack. So,
I can't wait.
Gentlemen, this was fucking fantastic. Thank you so much for being here. Everyone, have a good Monday and don't start any wars of aggression, please.
We've got enough then.
We're all full up.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for being here.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
End stream.